Bound by Love. The Unexpected Encounter. The air was thick with summer heat as 18-year-old Ethan Mitchell busily packed a cardboard box with his favorite books, old clothes, and mementos from school. His dad, a hard-working man in his mid-40s, had finally remarried after years of solitude following the death of Ethan's mother when he was just a child. His stepmother, Sarah, was a vibrant woman in her early 30s, possessing a warm smile and a patience that breathed life into their new home. Ethan had been apprehensive when he first met Sarah, a woman so different from his mother, but she had quickly won his heart with her kindness and gentle approach. He couldn't help but admire her. Sarah had a radiant beauty, with long chestnut hair that cascaded over her shoulders and emerald, green eyes that sparkled with warmth and understanding. However, he pushed those feelings aside, knowing the boundaries that existed between them. "Ethan, can you bring this box to the living room?" Sarah called, interrupting his thoughts. He looked up and caught a glimpse of her, barefoot and wearing a flowing sundress that accentuated her figure. The sight sent a rush of heat through him, and he quickly grabbed the box, determining to keep any distracting thoughts at bay. As he made his way through the hallway, he marveled at how Sarah had transformed the old house into a charming and inviting home. Walls were adorned with pictures of family moments, filled with laughter and joy. But in the corners of his mind, thoughts of Sarah lingered longer than he intended. "Thank you, sweeties," Sarah said, her face lighting up as he set the box down. She was in the middle of organizing the space, her movements graceful and fluid. "I cannot believe how much we have left to unpack. But I promise, it'll be worth it when we're settled in." Ethan offered a shy smile, feeling a sense of comfort in her presence. "I can help you with the rest if you'd like." "Oh, that would be wonderful. But you should take a break, too. You've been doing a lot," she said, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear, completely unaware of the tumultuous emotions brewing inside him. "Maybe later," Ethan replied, a hint of determination in his voice. He wasn't sure why he felt compelled to stay close to her, but the feeling was undeniable. Throughout the rest of the afternoon, they worked side by side, laughter and casual conversations filling the air. The more they talked, the more Ethan felt a connection that transcended the traditional lines drawn by their relationship. At times, Sarah would catch her breath, admiring his strength as he carried heavy boxes, and he would glance at her, conscious of the warmth radiating between them. As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden hue over the room, Ethan felt an overwhelming desire to bridge the gap between them, to confess how he felt. But before he could gather his thoughts, his father entered the room fatigued from work, bringing an end to their moment. "Hey, you two," his dad greeted, ruffling Ethan's hair playfully, oblivious to the bond that had momentarily sparked between them. "How's the unpacking going?" "Almost done, Dad," Ethan replied, trying to rein in his emotions. The presence of his father served as a reminder of the boundaries he so desperately wanted to ignore. As dinner approached, Ethan made excuses to linger in the kitchen, stealing glances at Sarah as she prepared the meal. The way she moved was mesmerizing, and he felt something deeper stirring within him. He wanted nothing more than to hold her, to tell her how he felt, but each time a million reasons held him back. The forbidden attraction. Days turned into weeks, and during their shared moments, the connection between Ethan and Sarah only grew stronger. As each weekend passed, they found themselves engaging in conversations that were both intimate and enlightening. Sarah shared stories about her childhood and aspirations, while Ethan opened up about his hopes for the future, his dreams of college, and navigating the challenges of being a teenager. One rainy afternoon, Sarah was preparing a light lunch while Ethan sat at the kitchen counter, his attention half on his book and half on her. The sound of raindrops against the window created a serene backdrop, and he could hardly focus on the words in front of him. All he could think about was the intoxicating scent of her shampoo and the way her laughter danced in the air. "Ethan," she said suddenly, interrupting his thoughts, "do you think you could help me with something in the garden once we eat? I could use a pair of strong hands." "Of course, I'd love to," Ethan replied, eager to spend more time with her. As they finished lunch, Sarah's vibrant laughter filled the small space, making the room feel even cozier. When they stepped outside, Ethan felt a rush of anticipation. The garden was her sanctuary, a place where she could escape, and he wanted to share that with her. While they worked together, Sarah leaned in close to him, guiding his hands as he pruned the roses. The gentle touch of her fingers against his skin sent shivers down his spine, igniting a longing he didn't quite understand. His heart raced, and he could feel the warmth of her body as they stood in close proximity. "Do you like gardening?" she asked casually, oblivious to the storm of emotions swirling inside him. "I've never really tried," he admitted, his gaze dropping to the ground as he fought against the feelings that threatened to consume him. "Maybe we could do this more often? It will be fun," she suggested, her smile brightening the dull afternoon. "Yeah, I'd like that," Ethan replied, trying to keep his voice steady, but the heat in his cheeks betrayed him. As days turned into weeks, the dynamic began shifting, and unspoken emotions loomed in the air. There were moments when their hands brushed against each other, moments when their eyes lingered a bit too long. Ethan found himself thinking about her in ways he knew were perilous. He watched her with awe as she laughed with his father, but her gaze often returned to him, and with each passing glance, he felt a pull he couldn't resist. One evening, Ethan returned home from a late study session with friends. The house was quiet, dimly lit by the soft glow of the bedside lamp in his room. He wandered into the living room to find Sarah curled up on the couch, a novel resting on her lap. "Hey, you're back," she greeted, her eyes lighting up as she looked up at him. "Yeah, just finished studying," he replied, trying to sound nonchalant. "Would you like to join me?" she asked, patting the empty space beside her. Ethan's heart raced. He hesitated for a moment before nodding, cautiously taking a seat next to her. He could feel the warmth radiating from her body, and for the first time, he let himself bask in how close they were. As they talked about their day, their shoulders brushed against one another, each touch sending electricity coursing through Ethan's veins. Suddenly, Sarah paused and looked at him intently, her expression shifting. "Ethan, can I be honest with you?" His heart raced. "Of course. It's just that." She took a deep breath, her eyes searching his. "I feel like there's something between us. Something more than just stepmother and stepson." Ethan's breath hitched, and the world around them faded. "I feel it too," he admitted, his voice strained. "But we can't." I know, she interrupted, her voice barely above a whisper. "But what if we explored these feelings a little more?" Ethan's mind raced as he grappled with what she proposed.